So
Okay.
I'll go ahead and do that and
Okay.
call the meeting to order at 5:06 p.m.
Okay.
And as we start our meeting, we acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Sioux First Nation within Treaty 3, and that many of the people and communities we serve in Sioux come from Treaties 5 and 9, the Anishinaabe Nation. Are there any amendments to the agenda, staff?
Through you, Chair, I would like to add under item 8B, anti-racism, anti-hate grant program.
Okay. And if there's nothing else, I'll ask for a motion to confirm the agenda as amended. Moved by Mario, seconded by
Yep, I can. It's Candace.
Candace. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Declarations of pecuniary interests.
We have
There are
none.
none. Thank you. And we have the minutes that were circulated for the September 21st, 2021 TRC meeting for adoption.
Chair, I see Lynn has her hand up.
So, oh, Lynn Marie. Yes, your hand is up.
I was okaying the last.
Okay, very good.
Oh, okay.
Well, with that, you just moved for the adoption of the minutes, and thanks, Lynn Marie. And the seconder is Victor. Thank you. Any discussion? I would just note that in the attendees, I think we should indicate that Darlene is the chair of the meeting, and I just noted she was listed as a committee member. It's always good to, I think, identify the chair. So if that minor change could be made, thank you. And if there's no further discussion, all in favor of adopting the September 21 meeting minutes? Thank you. Carried.
Lynn.
Thank you. Business arising from the minutes, Education and Reconciliation Week debrief. Everyone. I'll start out, or did you want to start off, Michelle?
No, I was just going to just say that perhaps some committee members that were in attendance or part of organizing any of the activities, if they could provide an update as to how it went.
Okay, let's. I'll just go around the screen as I see it here. Joyce.
Yeah, no, I wasn't able to attend any of that, and there was didn't do anything in the planning. So, but I read about it, and it looked like it was very successful.
Thanks, Joyce. Mario.
Unfortunately, I too didn't attend any of it. I was in Thunder Bay for the whole week, to tell you the truth. My regrets, but I did attend the flag raising, and I thought that was I thought it was stellar. I really did. And with Garnet Anshkanab, his speech was really inspiring. So I really like that.
Thanks, Mario. Victor.
Okay. Yeah, I took part. Our organization, the Friendship Center, my position, we took part of the between the two schools, Sioux Mountain and Sioux North. We had started off with a sacred fire and provided drumming, and there was food available. And I asked one of my relatives to come and be available to speak to people if they want to. He's a residential school survivor himself. Just in case they wanted to have an opportunity, the students, to ask any questions. And yeah, I think the day went fairly well. The kids were really engaged in listening to the things that we were doing. I went through the process of what we were doing there and why we were doing it. And then since then, I've been going back into the schools, and it's led to a lot of different types of discussions and different types of teachings, I guess. So I was supposed to go in tomorrow and start the first of 7 weeks of doing the seven grandfathers uh, at the Sioux Mountain Public School. But I'm feeling pretty under the weather right now. I have spent the day laying in bed with extreme chills. So I don't know how that's. I guess I'm gonna have to cancel probably a portion of this week, if not both, this whole week. But it's good that it's becoming more aware and more people are starting to, especially the young ones, starting to become participating in it. I guess that's all.
Thanks, Victor. Sorry for your health concerns and hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, I was I was at the trunk and treat last night. I think it too much. Got too cold.
Candace, did you have anything you wanted to report?
I participated in the flag raising, and it was really good to see how many people actually came out to it, especially since there were two events going on at the time. I thought it really showed a lot of how many people, young and old, came out just to like see the flag raising despite the other events. And it was just nice to see a lot of the community members out to it, especially during that time in the day as well, where many people might have been working and not really paying attention to the day or the time, but it was nice to see them out.
Thanks, Candace. Lynn Marie.
Hello, am I on? Am I
Yes, you're
am I
good.
here?
You're here. We can hear you.
I was just going back to some notes, and one of the things that I was able to do was an online virtual session on the residential school and the impacts. And last minute, I changed it up a little bit to include sort of a historical overview of how the residential schools came about. And I was really surprised because there was a code attached to the pamphlet. There were more people than I thought there would be, and a whole lot of people that I didn't know or recognize. So that's a good thing. So we had I counted 25 participants in the September 28th virtual session, and people were really appreciative. They didn't know how and the Indian Act came about and why it was implemented. So I got a lot of good feedback there. And then the orange shirt walk on Wednesday, I handed out the little call to action booklets, and yeah, 25 booklets disappeared. So that was good. And the rest I brought back to the office to be distributed to various departments within our staff. And then on Thursday, I had another virtual session, and it was Thursday, or was it the 29th? Oh, maybe it was the 29th. Yeah, it was actually more of the SLIFNA staff that were there that time, and people who couldn't make the day events. They were I had 10 people attend that one, and so again, really good feedback, history that people aren't aware of. And like I said, I was quite surprised that people don't know the origins of the Indian Act and the origins of residential schools. So I thought that was really good. And I distributed some orange rocks for the walk. People took those. I was surprised at that, and I left some behind with some other rocks that were lined up along the way there. And I too attended the flag raising um, with the well, yeah, the mayor was there, honorable mayor was there, and other people, and I was really happy with the turnout there. It was really powerful, and there was something we had on Friday. Well, I can't remember what I ordered on Friday, what I did on Friday. My notes are always very scratchy and what do you call it? Chicken scratch. Sometimes I can't read my own writing. But I thought that the events I regretted not being able to attend the film night or the blanket exercise on the weekend. I was looking. I really wanted to attend some things like that. But also for the hostel, we had some activities for the clients at the hostel, and minimal interaction, but it was some. And I don't know. I just felt really good about informing people about some of Canada's history, and I like to make people more aware of the treaties and how we are all treaty people regardless. And we have Treaty Week coming up soon. I think it's next week. And yeah, I like doing this kind of stuff. Informing the public. Yeah, and that's it.
Thanks, Lynn Marie. Yeah, I thought the flag raising, I was surprised, and it's in COVID. I wasn't sure, are we to encourage people to come or discourage people to come? What is the maximum? I think we may have crossed that bridge now where we can have larger outdoor gatherings, but on September 30th, it was one of those, oh my, there's a lot of people here, which is good. And it was also worrisome. I unfortunately had, I was sick during that week of leading up to and September 30th, but I had a COVID test. I was sick enough that I blame my grandchildren that they're attending school and kindergarten again and what have you, and the snivelly noses and sickness comes and bang, the grandparents get it. Anyway, I thought the overall the week went very well here. I was pleased, very happy that all the events that various agencies and people put on.
Can I add something?
So Victor, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that blanket exercise. I was part of that too.
Okay, good. Yeah.
We did, we opened up 2 sessions, one at 10 a.m. and one at 2 p.m. Eileen Urquhart and
Terry Lynn Jewell, perhaps.
Terry Lynn Jewell, yeah, they joined us and they set up their timeline thing they have with the long string, and it's a course of 10,000 years, or to look at our history of Canada and what it was like, I guess, over the past 10,000 years, and it kind of leads right into the beginning of the blanket exercise. But unfortunately, we had 0 people show up on the 10
Are you
a.m.
kidding? Are you kidding? I've
So
been
we
to one of
left.
those before. Terry Lynn and Eileen and whoever put one on a few years ago in the parking lot of the was the Days Inn at the time. Now the
Yeah.
hostel too. It was very good. Yeah, very informative.
Yeah. So then we shut down and left the building at 11 because no one was coming, and there was no time to be able to do it in time to finish for the 2 o'clock one. So we just took a break, and then came back about 1 o'clock and sat there ready for 2 o'clock. And we had 3 participants show up, and so there was really nothing we could do. That day was kind of lost to us.
Yes, you need the participants to move them around the blankets.
Yeah, we need at least a minimum of 12.
Yeah.
But there was no one that seemed to have any interest in coming out.
Well, that's too bad. We have no item 7, no delegations, staff. So we'll move on to item 8A, review of cemetery bylaw, update on traditions for burials. And was this, staff help me, Aileen was,
From our last meeting, people on the committee were to reach out and try and bring back information on what different types of burials or monuments are used by Indigenous peoples and what the meaning behind it is, what the significance is. So it's open for discussion for this meeting.
so has anybody been able to do any research yet? Mario, yeah.
Yeah, I got to meet the coolest guy in town, Ralph Johnson. Like, he is super cool, that guy. I'm telling you. He's got a website, and I encourage you all to go on it. It's called eldersgathering.com. And he in there, and I went over and visited him, and we spent, maybe 2.5 hours talking. And he's an incredible guy. He really, really is. But check out that website. He is into Anishinaabe clan system big time, and I didn't know what it was, and he was trying to educate me about it. He's an elder. He's a healer. He's done traditional cemetery like funerals. He lives just down the street from me, so it was perfect for me to go over and spend some time with him. What he told me about it, he said, is that, like, for funerals, he said that traditional Indigenous burials do not involve caskets at all. They're done in birch bark, hides, like in a bag. Or he said there was no like the cross, the wooden cross is a European thing. I think I checked into it. It was about 1300s where it came in, and it was just brought in. And it's easy to construct, especially when you don't have other materials available. He spoke of a totem, and he called it a totiman or a mito o watek, which was made out of wood, but it showed of one's clan, and that's what they used. In fact, he was talking about chiseling out a 16-foot totem, which would be super cool if he could do that, and we could help him do that somehow and put it up somewhere in town. A totem would be really, really cool. He talked about the use of ceremonial sand. He said that they used to get sand from the shores of the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what their ceremonial sand was, which was really, really cool. What else did he have to say? The picket fences, he said, fences are not traditional for any Indigenous society. The people, I don't know how you say it, theirs is to share and to help others. And that's basically going back to the Anishinaabe clan system that he would like to see back again. That's what I got from him. Another thing that I found, I've been looking at the clan system because I'm going back to talk to Ralph, because he is the coolest guy in Sioux Lookout. Anyway, when I was on there, I found a blog or whatever you want to call it from Roberta Jameson. And Roberta Jameson, I'm going to pass this this on to you guys. I'll put on the website. Roberta Jameson is the first woman chief in Canada or in North America. She's a Mohawk, and she is. I wish more people would would see that. So I'm going to send it out to you guys, and I hope that it's 53 minutes long, but she's very smart. She speaks very eloquently, and she gives a lot of really good information that really, really surprised me and really opened up my eyes, and would answer the question that many people in town ask. She answers them. So I'll put that on, and that's what I had. The only other thing I had to say was Aileen, she sent an email today, and she wanted us not to consider cost at this time. And you know, in one way I agree with her, but the thing is that the municipality goes out every once in a while, especially at election time or at budget time, asking for ways to cut the budget. People are tired of paying taxes. I pay personally, I pay $1,000 a month. I might as well be renting a house, you know, and that's just in property tax. So I think that I'm waiting to hear from the cemetery manager I know he's a very busy man, and but I'm waiting to hear what he has to say and what the municipality has to say. But anyway, you need to talk to Ralph Johnson. He's pretty cool.
Mario, did he discuss anything about Cree people or Ojibwe people by chance? And like and what they would prefer?
Sorry, it was almost like make and break. I could hear every third or fourth word. So I'm sorry.
Did he speak about Cree people or the Ojibwe and any traditions they had?
Yeah, that's what they used to do. Is they used to put like a, what is that called? Aileen calls it. It's like a roof or something like that. It's not a picket fence, but
Your house?
what he said that the bodies were not buried 6 feet in the ground like Europeans do. He said they're actually above the ground, and it's sometimes they're elevated. But when they put them in the ground and stuff like that, and they make the mound, that is put over on top, and basically that's for, you know, so that animals and so that it doesn't get disturbed. He told me a lot about the traditions where basically the difference between the European thinking and religion and the Anishinaabe way, where we're all born, we're not born as Europeans think. He said that we were spirits, and the creator would put us into a human, and we would experience life here. And then when we died, it wasn't death or something that's so finite and ending. It would be a return to the creator as that original spirit. And it was like morphine on. It was, you got to talk to Ralph Johnson. You really do. I'd like to get him to our committee. I really
I was
would.
thinking that. Yeah, I was thinking that. He seems like a really good information.
Oh.
A really good piece.
Those
Check
things
out
you're
the
talking about
Elders
are called
Gathering.
scaffolds.
Scaffolds. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, check them out on eldersgathering.com. Very cool.
Thanks, Mario. Anything else on tradition on burials?
Yeah, I just
Joyce, yeah.
I was just going to say that, you know, I mean, Ralph has articulated the truly traditional way, as far as he understands it. I'm thinking in terms of today, how so many people in the North do bury their dead, and they do use coffins, and they also very frequently put fence around the grave site. And that's really what I was thinking when I brought this forward, is that how do we accommodate to the people today who want to do this? You know, and people who have lived in the North, who are coming to live in Sioux Lookout, who have lost a loved one and would like to put a fence up. And then in terms of looking at costs, we really don't know how much it would cost extra. We don't know how many people would use the opportunity to use a fence. But we also have to think that, reconciliation isn't going to be just an easy, cheap process. And that, yes, it might cost money. It might cost extra money. And that's really what is reality. And if we balk at the cost of something that is meaningful to people, then we're not going to be able to accomplish reconciliation if we look at it from the dollar, which again, we don't know how much it would cost, if it would cost much more at all. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Joyce. Mario.
I would just like to add any changes made in the cemetery bylaw or in the way that the municipality handles cemeteries. I hope that we're not going to be making separate rules for separate people, different people. What goes for one goes for all. So the placement of picket fences, if it's accepted, it should be accepted for, it doesn't make any difference what denomination you are, you should be able to have it. I would hate to see a whole bunch of picket, I like to imagine the cemetery with a whole bunch of picket fences and how you would maintain that and who would be responsible for that. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Victor.
I've been to a number of northern communities over my lifetime working with Wawa-T Native Communications and other organizations traveling around, and I've come across a lot of those fence things that you guys are speaking about, but it never occurred to me to try to determine where they got them from or how much it cost. And one of the things that I do know is that there's almost like a yearly, I'll say yearly. I don't know if it's more than yearly, but I know that there is a pilgrimage from the family members that go there and maintain that site themselves. Those sites, I've seen that a lot of times before. We've even done video. They've even been part of some of our videos that we shot where the family. It was necessary to go and shoot that method of them cleaning up the site and repairing any of the wood that was damaged or moved by animal or person or whatever, but I don't know where they got them from. I don't think the band paid for it. I really don't believe that the band paid for it, because I know, and sometimes with my wife, she works for Wapakika First Nation, and they use a lot of those things themselves too. And I think there's a man there that cuts the wood for them and stuff, like in town. He prepares it for them, but I don't know if there's any transaction or anything, or maybe the family is responsible for that themselves too, because some of them are quite ornate. They have really nice designs on the pickets, and stuff like that. I guess maybe I'm imagining that the family must give the dimensions, or maybe there's already a set dimension for the burial grounds. But yeah, that's all I can say about that, because I remember seeing them, and for myself personally, I thought it was kind of strange because I've never seen that before. And I know I've seen the houses too, and little tents and stuff. I've seen all those things that were mentioned in Eileen's in her thing there, but it never really. It seemed like a very foreign practice to me. But yeah. Anyways, we got you.
Thank you, Victor. Seems to me we have more to learn before we're in any position to make a report or recommendations to council if we do go that route. So
it's definitely regional as well. The community I come from has been interacting with the settler population for hundreds of years. And so where I'm from, most of the burials, most of them, I would say 85% of them are Christian burials. And we do have coffins. We do have the procedures of lowering the coffins and you know, laying the blankets and things like that. And the wakes are held in churches now. When I grew up, they were held in homes, and sometimes they would be buried in the family yard because the yards were quite big. And at those times, then the family would erect the little spirit houses and stuff like that. But today, in the modern world, the burials of only certain people who practice their traditional ways, like the medicine people and the people who hold those practices. I've seen their burials, and again, it's not the coffin, but rather, as Ralph described, you know, wrapped up in cloths and birch bark and other items like that, and it's not even, the body's not even embalmed or anything. It's very yeah, it's like old ways, but yeah, it's the families who request those certain practices, and who will have like our community has a special spot for those kind of burials. But when it comes up here, up in these communities, there's a real what do you call it? What's that word? Disconnection, or yeah, disconnection from old ways of doing things, and many things have been lost. In many communities, some people know their clans and some people don't. Many people don't know their clans, and it's the practices have changed as a result of settler and indigenous connections, and they've changed. They've changed. And what I wanted to be aware for all of us to keep in mind, you know, Joyce mentioned something really important, that the things that that we are open to doing for community members in Sioux Lookout. You know, if families have special requests, you know, I don't think there would be many. I don't think there would be many special requests to have certain ways of burying in one of the cemeteries, and I think that people would be really open to we call it working with each other for the best results. And so it's being aware how the communities have changed, being aware of modern, like today, practices compared to traditional practices. There's a lot of ethnology on some of the traditional practices, and you know, there's aware people will bring those back for their communities, and it's important not to assume that all First Nations have the same practices, that every community has their own unique practices in their communities, and when you move to an urban location. You do your best to keep your traditions, but also work within the practices that the town or the city have. And part of reconciliation, I think, is being open to special requests. Be open to special requests, and really, I don't know how many there will be. And I can't see the cemeteries, having, more than a handful of requests for even a little fence or a little house that's similar to having a headstone. So much more, it's true, much more research and investigation, possibly a survey, I don't know, of some sorts, or a little research project on that, to be tied with other things to be discovered about Sioux Lookout and the traditional territory that it sits on. There's possibilities of examining what are the stories in the area, because I know the stories in my area are different. And that difference is Sioux Lookout is a hub. Remember, it's people visit here from 31 communities in the north, and not everyone gets buried in town. A lot of people, raise funds to get their loved ones transported back to their communities and be buried there. There's a lot of, I would say there's many people who pass in urban centers, and the band council and people in the community raise funds to transport the body up to their communities to be buried there. They find their ways to bring people home. We need to be aware of that. Anyway.
Thanks, Lynn Marie. I think that's well, where we are. More learning to do. Good discussion. Thank you, everybody. Oh, Mario, yep.
Sorry, but I was just thinking of what Lynn was saying, and she had a lot of good things to say. And I was reflecting back in my discussions with Ralph, where he was talking about the burial sites above ground, and the prayers and the songs and the drums and the pipe ceremony of tobacco, sage, sweet grass, and cedar. And I'm wondering that if the municipality did go to a full traditional permitting a full traditional funeral for people who wish to have that done, I was wondering if we should be talking to the funeral director, because maybe there's criteria there where, like, can we do that with the Cemetery Act and whatever the funeral director has to, you know what I'm saying? Like can we? Or is the funeral director, can he only do a given set of rules which does not permit some of the traditional methods? I don't know, it's more of a question.
Yeah.
Sure, I think that's,
Yeah,
go ahead.
in my area, I know that the funeral directors work with the families, and the ones that have high contact with First Nations communities, they're very much aware of the nuances. And I don't know about up here, but down on the island where I'm from, the funeral director allows for the family to do their ceremonies and taking care of the body and smudging and the coins and all those little practices. But I have to remind you too, it's not common anymore. It's a few people who still do those. My uncle, like for example, my uncle, he had a combination. So it's up to the families, and I think that that's important for us to be open to what are the families wanting and prepared to do, because it's up to the family to bring in the conductors. That's what they are. Yeah, bring in the conductors. So and I sense that most funeral directors are open to some traditional practices, because it's up to the families.
Thanks. Yeah, I have a feeling that in Sioux, the funeral directors would be there because a significant part of who they're dealing with. I mean, I'm sure it's more than 50-50 because the funeral home here does do a lot of work with the Northern First Nations. So I'm reasonably confident that they're going to be quite familiar. And but that I think it would be good. It's not a bad idea, Mario, to do some research there as well. With
I'm more. My point was being that because Sioux is under the jurisdiction of provincial law, where up north they're not. So I just wanted to make sure that it's legal. I guess it's a legal question that I'm asking. Is it permitted?
Michelle?
With reference to the actual ceremony itself and the smudging and the things that you've mentioned, that is totally up to the family, how they want to celebrate that person's life at the burial. More of the regulation around, with the municipality surrounds, how deep coffins have to be, how many urns you can have on a plot, things of that nature that dictate how the cemetery is actually physically set up in the burials within the cemetery, and again the markers. So that's more of our jurisdiction, but not the actual ceremony itself. We leave that up to the family and the funeral director.
Very good. Thanks, Michelle. Joyce. Sorry, Joyce, you're still on mute.
Sorry, yeah, no, where do we go from here now? One thought I had from what Lynn was saying is maybe it could be on a case-by-case basis at this point.
Sorry, didn't you broke up a bit there?
Oh, yeah, maybe it could be on a case-by-case basis. If somebody from the north wants to have one here and wants to put a picket fence around it, it could be done on a case-by-case basis and see how it works and go from there.
Okay, well, I think Michelle, did you want to? I think we're a few meetings away from making finalized recommendations here, and a fair bit of research to be done. But Michelle, go ahead.
Just a quick comment on that from a staff perspective. I think that it has to be laid out quite thorough, like laid out in the bylaw and not on a case-by-case basis, because what will happen is you will have a subjective opinion as to whether or not one will be allowed to do this, one will be allowed to do that, and it won't be uniform across the board as to what is allowed and what isn't allowed. So I think that, as the mayor suggested, we have to do a bit more research and come back with concrete suggestions to council to consider, and then council will direct staff to do a staff report on that and come back for a final decision.
We're not ready yet as a committee or subcommittee yet to get that far, but I am hoping that in the coming couple of months we can be, and then it could be that staff would be doing more research as well. We don't have to do it all here. We can do recommendations that are a bit open-ended, that then staff can go to work being the paid professional staff that they are, and with contacts. All right, we'll move on to item 8B, the racism/anti-hate grant program. Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I came across this funding program with a deadline to apply for funding of November 15th. I'll just briefly highlight what the grant is about, and it may address, Lynn Marie, it may address being able to get funding for the Returning to Spirit workshops. I'll just read it right now. So it's led by the Anti-Racism Directorate, and the Anti-Racism, Anti-Hate Grant program focuses on supporting community-led initiatives that will increase public education and awareness on the impact of racism and hate. So this could go very far with reference to our initial discussions some months ago where we were trying to figure out how to engage the community. We may be able to apply for funding that way to bring awareness to the community members, and also find funding for the Returning to Spirit project. The project in its category in this category builds organizational community capacity to recognize and act to prevent occurrences of racism and hate, and support delivery of culturally responsive services to individuals and families that are adversely impacted. Projects can include developing and providing access to training, tools, job aids, courses, and workshops, organizational change management, embedding culturally responsive community services. And the projects aim to create opportunities for cross-cultural dialogues, increasing access to services, information, and advice concerning experiences of racism and hate in communities. The project can also include convening events and workshop groups and working groups, sharing best practices and intersectional experiences, awareness campaigns, establishing coalitions of organizations and individuals that support addressing systemic racism. And there are two types of funding. There's the two-tiered funding system in this program. The first tier, partnership development enhancement projects, it's a maximum of $100,000 per project over 2 years. Eligible organizations will be funded based on applications that identify partnerships and a joint initiative that builds awareness or introduces change at a systemic level. And the second one is independent projects, a maximum of $40,000 per project over 2 years. And eligible organizations will be funded based on applications to tackle public education and awareness at a local or population-specific level. An example of that is initiating, responding to rising incidents of online racism and hate, culturally responsive toolkits, etc. The applications can be submitted by applicable groups. They are community-based not-for-profit organizations, First Nations, tribal councils, provincial territorial organizations, and Indigenous non-for-profit organizations. So the municipality cannot apply for this grant money directly, but we can work with another organization to promote and to see some of this project funding perhaps come our way. So when I saw this, I automatically thought of Returning to Spirit, that maybe that's a venue where we can apply for money for that project itself. So I'm putting it out to the committee because November 15th is coming fairly quickly. And if you have any ideas of what we can apply for, perhaps a community-based organization can apply for the funding, and the municipality will support that.
Wow.
Lynn Marie.
Okay. Wow. Okay. The Returning to Spirit, it's a nonprofit movement which engages both settler communities and Indigenous communities in coming together and working towards reconciling the past, all of it, the residential schools, the colonization and things like that. So in terms of like community, Sioux Lookout has so many different First Nations organizations, and I honestly can see the Friendship Center or the Sunset Women's Group, even First Step, coming together and being able to provide the sort of the Indigenous participants and for the non-Indigenous participants. Oh my goodness, this would be such a great partnership. And collaboration is one of the key words there in that proposal. Collaboration and partnerships. I think this is this is timely. This amount of funding. It's probably competitive, eh? But it would be. Oh my goodness! I think it would be a worthwhile attempt at submitting something. If we can get the EDs at the Friendship Center, at SWAC, and even I was going to say even the shelter.
So Michelle, would you be get in touch with with Tana at the First Step, with Jennifer at the Friendship Center, Susan at the shelter, and I'm not sure who the ED is at SWAC. Is it Candy, or is it who is the Lynn Marie?
Candy works at Sliffner now.
Oh, okay. At Sunset Women's Circle, Michelle. Good suggestions. And then Lynn Marie, would, if we're applying, and maybe the is it going to be broader than just that one program that Lynn Marie had referenced earlier, or are we going to apply for more than just that?
So if the TRC is interested, and I think we should try and take advantage of this opportunity, because we talked about a number of initiatives in the past, and most recently the Returning to Spirit project that we couldn't get funding for. We were denied funding under another programming stream. So I think from here, if we'll just take direction, what we'll do is set up a meeting with these organizations, we'll do a little bit more homework on what exactly it is we can apply for, if you can apply for multiple projects, and assist whoever wants to take the lead out of those organizations to do the application for funding, and see where we end up.
Do you need direction from the committee to do that?
No, I don't need a formal motion. I'll just go ahead. We'll make it part of the minutes that direction was provided.
I think Lynn Marie's reaction was affirmative. I can't see everybody else's, but I think Joyce, affirmative. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Mario.
And Mario is affirmative. Victor, give your name a shake there, or good. Thanks. And Candace, your thumbs up. Great. Okay. So you have your direction. That sounds. But time is of the essence, as they say. November 15th deadline for application?
Yes, that's the deadline date to submit applications. This was, I came across this it was actually in our economic development manager's outlook from this past week, and I was going through her emails and I noticed that was there, and I decided to read up on it, and I thought, that sounds like it's a possibility. So
yeah, absolutely. It sounds like it might be broad enough for us to include a few things under the one application.
And Michelle, I'll contact the business director at Returning to Spirit if she could submit some sort of write-up for for like a, I don't know, a write-up anyways on the sort of the rationale, the objectives of the training. And then if you need any assistance to talk about RTS to the executive directors of the organizations, I'm willing to talk about it. And because I know a few years ago we had it at the Friendship Center, and I was still at the Noden building, and yeah, oh, if this could happen, this would be really powerful here in Sioux Lookout.
What I'll do is I'll include you, Lynn Marie, in the correspondence with the others too, and the meeting that we put together. How's that sound?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thanks, Michelle. Item 9, work plan. The two items that were highlighted for me, I think from Darlene to Tiffany for updating, was the workshop returning to spirit, and I think we've just really we've covered that one off now. We know what we're doing there. And the subcommittee to review and put forward a new name for Umferville Park. There was a meeting on September 16th, and the subcommittee reviewed the work plan. The media release went out to the public about renaming and asking for history of the area to be sent to the municipality. And the next meeting of the subcommittee is on November the 4th. And with that, we come to our next meeting date of the full committee is November the 22nd, 2021 via Zoom at 5 p.m. That's a Monday, is it?
Yes, I believe so.
Thank you. Okay. And that brings us to item 11, which is a motion to adjourn. Moved by Joyce, seconded by Victor. All in favor? All right. Thanks very much, everybody. November 22nd via Zoom, and the subcommittee November the 4th.